women made me so much more proud to be a woman, and also so much more accepting of like female culture, I guess, and it really helped me with that, because I was 16 when we first started, so it helped me a lot with that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I went through a similar thing. I had a lot of female friends growing up, but we just fought all the time, and I don't know if it's because it's what we saw on TV or like what was telling us that we needed to like hate each other also. But I remember a lot saying, you know, like, oh, like, yeah, I have girlfriends, but like my guy friends are just like so much more chill and cool. And like it took, honestly, like being on a channel with you guys and seeing us all going through the same struggles and like still loving each other at the end of the day to really realize like that was wrong. And the friends that I had in high school were probably a lot better than we gave ourselves credit for. And so yeah, it taught me a lot about that.
For me, I learned that I didn't have to settle for the people who lived close by me and to settle for the friends I thought really cared about me at high school, because there were people out there who did care about me and who did support me for real. And I, at some point in my life, had a realization that my biggest bullies were actually friends of mine, pretending that they were being supportive, but really, like, they'd come over my house and they'd make fun of the posters on my wall, and that's not what a real friend is. And I felt for a very long time like this is just what I have to deal with in order to have friends. This is just what it means. And just getting to know all of these people who really, we aren't in person together very often, but when we are, it's like we've never been apart, and it got me through a lot of tough stuff, and it really taught me not to settle for a friend that isn't going to treat you the way that you deserve.
Sort of learned that when we started doing the channel, I felt like we were just doing something silly for ourselves. I saw it more as like, oh, we're just messing around, like making these videos. And then over time, I realized that this whole community really stood for something bigger than that. Like, our personal stories did matter to people, just as the personal stories of a lot of you that we've watched and other people have watched matter a lot. And like in this world where most of the media that we consume is created by a specific kind of person, it's so cool that people like all of us get the opportunity to share our personal stories and views with the world. And yeah, I think that YouTube really like changed a lot of my perspective on life, just seeing people from different parts of the world and seeing people who, you know, weren't like the person you would see on a CW show.
Yeah, I do have a serious answer to this. For me, I think there were two big things. One is just try stuff. I think music is a really good example for me. Like, I did it a little bit on my own before Five Awesome Girls, but I didn't really have a platform. And then when I started doing it on that, and I got a lot of positive feedback, it made me feel like, okay, even if this goes nowhere, I should just do it for fun and try it and not be afraid of that. And then also, just in general, like not being afraid to be myself and not to feel like I have to apologize if, you know, what I think about something or how I dress or whatever is not, you know, doesn't work for people outside of YouTube, doesn't work for people on YouTube. Whether I fit in or not, it's really unimportant as long as I'm true to myself.
Something also that Five Awesome Girls has kind of taught me retroactively, like kind of for better or for worse, is, you know, we all work on accepting who we are and who we are today, and I think that something that is really easy to cover up is who we were. And on my personal channel, I have privated like so much stuff. Like, there are so many videos that I'm embarrassed of that it's completely within my power to be like, don't want the world to see that anymore. But on Five Awesome Girls, it's a time capsule, and I don't want to betray the other Five Awesome Girls by going and removing any piece of that story. And even though I'm really embarrassed of a lot of stuff on that channel, it is who I was. And I've come a long way as a person. I'm better at making videos. I'm a more compassionate and I think intelligent person than I was when we started that channel. And there's things that I've even said that I think are cringeworthy, but it's who I was, and it meant a lot to a lot of people, and that's just part of my story.
Yeah, something I talked a lot about at another panel was it was the women YouTube discussion, or women on Nerdfighteria discussion, and it's about that this is such a community that not only understands one another, but if they don't, they want to, which I think is really important. You don't always, even though we are all very similar in that we're unapologetically nerdy and weird and different, we don't always come from the same place, but we want to know what other people's experiences are, and I feel like that's something that we learned a lot during that channel. question is, if you could recast a modern Five Awesome Girls,
Oh man.
which newer YouTuber would you pick for your day?
Oh, that's so hard.
I'm gonna take Megan Tonjes. Is that considered modern when she was also making videos then? I don't know, but I want Megan Tonjes.
I pick Rosie.
That was always like the secret part of Five Awesome Girls.
That's true.
She was the Saturday. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to claim Kayley Hughes.
I was thinking of
Thursday.
Thursday.
She'd be my Thursday.
Maria, shut up.
We're diversifying our Five Awesome Girls. Someone's gotta do it.
I don't know. I don't keep up with YouTube enough to have a person in mind. I only watch like 2 YouTube channels, and one of them is an ASMR channel. Fine. So Maria,
They just do all the themes because they whisper.
What about like a more traditional celebrity? Like, a lot of celebrities have been starting making YouTube channels.
Oh yeah.
Emma Watson could be on
young?
Five Awesome Girls.
I guess we'll let her do it. She'll do.
The funny thing too is that when we were about to end the channel, an overwhelming comment that we got was, "Are you going to pass it off to somebody?" And we all immediately were just like, no. Partly because we'd seen a lot of other collab channels kind of passing the torch, and I think it was very important to us that it stayed a time capsule, and also that we didn't kind of betray our viewership by all of a sudden putting people they didn't sign up to see in their
To
subscription.
me, that seems like almost selling subscribers. It's like,
Yeah.
here's like a built-in community of loving, compassionate, kind people. Be good. Like,
Yeah. You gotta work
But
for
at the
that.
same time, it's so cool how many people did their own
do that.
version.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we
no, I
did.
love it.
We did pass it off in a way because
We were selfish. We wanted it
Yeah.
to be ours.
Yeah.
We wanted our channel to be ours, but we were so happy about all of the channels
Yeah.
that everyone else made.
Exactly.
I mean, we were the ones who started the Five Awesome trend, and like how many channels come from that?
Five Awesome Goats.
Go.
Oh, I still go back and watch
Who was
those.
that? Does anybody know who that was?
It was Katrina.
weird.
It was all
Oh
weird.
my
yeah.
gosh, I
And,
love
like,
her so much.
She also has a cute baby.
She does.
I was also thinking about how many people, just because you think about how many people we inspired to start collab channels, but then think of how many people were inspired by those channels who started. There are tons of collab channels that are basically the same format that we started, but they have no idea who we are. They've never watched our videos. They just, at some point down the line, saw somebody who was affected by us, and it's a really common thing. I see like kids who are 13 or 14 on collab channels with days of the week, and they weren't really, they were babies when we started.
It's weird.
It's so cool. I'm glad. Everyone should do it. If you don't have to come.
Yeah.
It's a challenge,
So,
but it's
yeah.
worth it.
So I recommend not doing themed weeks.
Or like come up with all of them ahead of time. Maybe. That's like a thing we could have. We lived like week to week.
Yeah.
Like it was.
Procrastinators, bunch of procrastinators.
What fact about 2017 would most surprise 2007 you?
Donald Trump!
Up until about like not last year, like mid 2015, I thought it was a joke in the way that like everyone talked about Stephen Colbert was like gonna run for president, or like Hermione Granger was gonna run for president, and yeah, that would definitely.
Something that actually made me like tear up and like get really angry at the same time was, I don't know why, but I was looking through Joe's old tweets because he's my fiance and I like him. But like a year before the election, he had tweeted like, "We all need to stop talking about this like it's serious because he might actually do it." And I was like, "Oh god."
But anything like less horrifying?
What about like super positive, awesome things?
Yeah.
I think I would be surprised to find out that I moved to LA. I was a really small town girl, and then I just kind of like took a weird
Living in
chance.
More than
Small
10 years
world.
later, a room full of people still want to hear me talk. That shocks me then, shocks me now.
I'm really glad I have a kid. I don't know if I would have been able to predict that it would happen now and in the way that it
And
did.
he's so smart already. And, like, you can tell he's just gonna be really kind and
Such a good
thoughtful.
dancer.
He taught me 3 of his dance moves this morning.
So this is
I think he asked me out.
This is kind of an emo response, but I
Stay on brand.
don't think I ever thought I would be happy, and I'm happy. So.
been told in, what was it, 2007? Okay, so in 2007,
That was before.
the final Harry Potter book came out, and we all like cried ourselves to sleep because we thought that like the fandom was gonna be over. So like, if someone had told me in 2017, for better or for worse, that there'd be like so much Harry Potter stuff happening, I would have. I don't even know what I would have thought about that. I still don't know how I feel about it.
I don't think it would have changed anything about like my career path or anything like that, because I just basically kept doing Harry Potter stuff after the books came out, and now it's like, now I've got people who are like, oh hey, are you gonna write an Ilvermorny song? And I'm just like, oh no.
I considered coming out of retirement to write a Voldemort Day song though.
Oh my gosh.
I still might do that.
How many of you seen Harry Potter in the first round?
I read it.
How many of you read it though? Okay, that's different. I'm actually doing a panel on this next weekend at a different con, and I'm gonna save my wishes for that one.
Yeah, I don't. This is super nerdy, but every time I think of Voldemort Day, I get Beethoven Day from You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. So maybe we could do a parody. It's so happy sounding.
Okay, hold on. Did a different version of Belle just walk into this panel? That is incredible. Belle has been at like every panel. This is, but like yellow dress Belle. This is, you're bringing me so much joy this week.
Do you guys like the Fantastic Beasts franchise?
Yes.
Yes.
I was surprised.
I didn't watch it.
I have mixed feelings that lean toward positive, but there's definitely some mixed stuff for me wrapped up in it.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'll watch it illegally online and not pay money for it.
I enjoyed it more than Cursed Child.
Yeah. What was weird is I did a reread of the books right after watching the movies, and like there are actually things, maybe I've just convinced myself, but there are actually things in the books that I feel sort of maybe tie them together a little bit that I like forgot about.
Ooh.
You know?
To Cursed Child.
No.
Oh.
No, Fantastic Beasts.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, this
We won't
is
spoil it
stuff
for
I've
anything.
got in my brain for next week's panel. You can stop bringing it here.
I'm not. No.
Yeah. I like Newt. I feel like I relate to
I mean, the
Newt
spoiler
more
is
than-
the reason I didn't see it.
Yeah. I feel like I relate more to Newt than any other Harry Potter character, any Harry Potter universe character. I don't know why, but I'm just like,
He's just
is that
so
it's me.
question.
That's me in the Harry Potter universe right there.
That's
Wait, that's a
So
good question. What character do you relate to most in Harry? Ginny Weasley.
My answer was always Luna, but I feel like I'm way more Newt.
I was Luna when I was young, and I became Ginny.
Oh yeah. Who were we when we were young?
Oh man.
I've thought a lot about it.
I think probably like different parts of Ginny. I think I've been sort of Ginny, although I feel like Tonks now.
This just goes to show like how little I thought of myself at the time, but I think I was probably Romilda Vane. I was that person who would like poison some love potion chocolates and leave it out for somebody, like, please love me.
I honestly always loved Lavender Brown because while I love the main characters, I just was so fascinated by like the kind of ditzy popular girls in the corner.
I don't know, I still love them. I can see you as a lavender. I can see you portraying a good lavender.
Yes. I don't think I ever personally identified with any Harry Potter characters. Like, I loved them, but they weren't me.
I mean, I think you're meant to feel like Harry, right?
Yeah, and I did relate to Harry a lot then, and I still do in some ways. But I don't know, I never really kind of put myself in that and said, oh, I feel like this character or that. I always just prefer to imagine myself being friends with all the characters.
Yeah.
I was a Mary Sue in my own imagination.
It's like listening to podcasts is like this, and it's just a guy sitting next to a poster of people laughing. He's like,
I have an image in my head of you having a MySpace photo, I think it was, of you dressed up as Bellatrix.
That was from the books I've been released by.
Yeah. Back in the day.
I was in a newspaper.
That's amazing. I think I always pictured myself also just like going to Hogwarts and just kind of being one of the background characters. And so that was just kind of like a nice way to insert yourself in without like.
Well, you did that. Insert yourself in.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah. That's, okay, fair point. I felt like we needed some better female representation from Slytherin, let's be real.
Yes.
Not all Slytherins. I'm a Hufflepuff. That also happened after Five Awesome Girls, was my like midlife house sorting crisis.
So I was sorted into Pottermore twice in a Hufflepuff. I still do not identify as a Hufflepuff. I actually identify now as a Ravenclaw. And I always identified as a Slytherin, so it's a weird change.
Yeah.
You have experienced the scope of Hogwarts houses.
No, I've never been a Gryffindor. No.
Me neither.
Yeah, I've always been a Gryffindor, but I do have Ravenclaw tendencies.
Me
now
too.
That I didn't always have.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
In the Expo Hall, I learned about this at LeakyCon, but in the Expo Hall they sell these crisscross shirts
Yeah.
where you can like pick your two houses, so I definitely have a Slitherpuff shirt that I wear all the time. Yeah, they're really cool.
What do you think of as the mark of adulthood? Have you achieved it, and what advice would you give to emerging adults? Someone in this room.
Have I achieved adulthood? That's
Yeah.
That was you?
Like it's
Oh, awesome.
a Pokemon card.
Yeah. Achievement unlocked.
Yes, I identify as an adult. The reason I identify as adult is because I pay rent and don't rely on my parents for money. I think that's somewhat achievable, depending on where you live. Yeah, and yes, and your circumstances in life, but just being independent. Being independent makes me feel like an adult, and also, this is going to sound really bizarre, but as you all know, I have a pet rabbit. Caring for another living thing, even if it's just an animal, does give you a sense of responsibility, and I love that little nugget, so that helps.
I think like adulthood is such a weird concept because there's no like, all right, I'm this age, I've like entered into like that just doesn't happen. And I think part of what's great about this community is that like there's a lot of things about us that are not sort of like societally adult, but what really made me realize like, oh no, I'm definitely adult, I don't know when that happened, was realizing that like imposter syndrome is real and that everybody has
Yes.
it. And that like when I kind of like walk through life hoping no one finds out that I'm actually a child, like so is everyone else. And that really helped me realize like I think I'm doing it okay. Like I think I'm okay.
Oh, I can so relate.
I think mine, I mean, I'm the youngest person at this thing, but at this thing, timeline. I recently kind of just decided to stop caring about things that didn't matter. I would find myself just getting really irritated with just the dumbest things. I'm like, why am I putting energy into this? So once I started like kind of let go of caring about, I don't even know, I can't even think of an example right now, but just some insignificant thing. They're like, why did they do that? I just don't care anymore. And I feel like that mixed with reaching a point where I spend more time listening and understanding other people and trying to be more compassionate and before jumping to conclusions, that is when I realized that I'm probably an adult.
For me, I have two answers for this. One's a little more conceptual. So I think one thing that I've realized is that the changeover affects more the way that people view me and the way that people treat me than the way that I view myself or the way that I treat myself. It's that other people look at you and they decide, I'm going to take you seriously because I think you look like an adult. And I still get people on YouTube who think I'm a teenager. It was very strange to them when I announced that I was having a kid. It's like, oh hey, I'm almost 30, but sure, okay. But it's more the way other people have reacted to me. I don't think I've changed that much in the transition. I still have a childlike heart, and I still celebrate the things I love in a way that a lot of adults I know don't. They've kind of moved on from that. They feel like it's not acceptable societally for them to be this into something. But I definitely feel like having a kid has made me feel a lot more like an adult. I've stopped caring as much about myself and my own safety and health. It's just like, I disappear sometimes, and I feel like it's sad that that's a mark of adulthood that I see, because I really don't think that you should ever have to feel that way. And I have to remind myself to take care of myself sometimes. But it is very important that that little guy who's falling asleep, it's very important to me that he is safe and happy, and so that's, yeah.
You are going to be, well, you already are, but just the most wonderful mother, and I'm so happy. Okay. Every time I think about you and Matt,
Also, I think when I was like, I don't know, like 23 or something, I was still working in a box office at a theater, and there was like a kid who bought some licorice, and the dad was like, "Give your money to the nice lady," and I was like, "Oh God,
You're the nice lady.
I'm the nice lady."
God, I remember the first time
I'm
somebody
old.
called me a nice lady.
Or
Or like,
I hate
Yeah.
ma'am.
I used to get ma'am a lot at Disney, and I was like, please don't call me that.
I honestly prefer being called sir to being called
Right.
ma'am, because there's like, and honestly, like, yeah, obviously being misgendered is horrible, but I feel like there's a little more respect that comes with sir, and I feel like whenever somebody calls me ma'am, it's always like, ma'am, you have the way, ma'am.
I get called madam sometimes, which is really weird. So when you work in HR, you get a lot of like emails from people about because they want to get hired and they don't know who you are, so they'll address you
Go
know
big.
dear sir or madam, which is
You're the madam.
I'm the madam. That's always weird.
On the flip side, I actually get to be involved in hiring at my job currently, and I interviewed this guy, and like he seemed fine, and like we passed him off to like the next person who was interviewing him, and then afterward, this is a complete tangent, sorry, but afterward, the woman who was interviewing, we were like, "How did it go?" And she was like, "We're not hiring him," and we were like, "Why?" And she was like, "He referred to you as girls." He was like, "Oh yeah, I talked to those girls."
I mean, we are the Five Awesome Girls.
Yeah, but not in like a professional corporate
Yeah,
setting.
exactly.
So, I mean, one, I am really thankful that I work for a company that cares about that, but also like it was weird the other way too,
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely.
Oh, I've had so many of those things.
Do you still have a special affinity for your day of the week, and do you still associate it with the other girls?
Yes, yes.
I don't like think about it every Thursday anymore. It's not like
Yeah.
every Thursday I'm like, oh, what was that thing I was supposed to do today? But I do still feel very warmly towards.
When I like read the
Thursday.
word, I'll like when I read Thursday, I'll like see your face.
Well, people
That
like
might be a problem.
people really hate
Maybe I just see your face every day.
people really hate on Mondays. Like that's always been a thing, and that's partially why I liked it so much, is because I wanted to like destigmatize Mondays. Yeah. But like, especially having a day job now, like people are always like, "It's Monday," like, "Oh, happy Monday," and I still take it like a little personally. I'm like, Mondays are delightful. What are you talking about? Mondays are great. And I actually catch myself sometimes being like, "Oh my God, it's Monday. I hate life." And then I'm like, "No, Mondays are great.
Monday.
Keep living the dream."
Whenever I post, whenever I don't have a schedule on my YouTube channel, but I try to post once a week, and whenever it happens that the video is ready on a Tuesday, I always post it like, "Hey, it's Tuesday, new video!" I'm sure like half of my audience gets it at this point. It's been a long time, but it's fun for me when I get to post a video on a Tuesday on my own channel.
Okay, I'll do two more from this, and then we'll give it to you guys. So first, a more serious, not really that serious. Looking back, would you change anything? Like,
About
what
Five
did you
Awesome
learn?
Girls or just in life?
It's
How about
take
just
it as
Five
you
Awesome
will. It
Girls?
says, what is the most important thing that you learned during the first year? Looking back, would you change anything? From the first year,
Oh, sorry.
Oh, only the first year.
I'm not.
We talk a lot about how disorganized we were and how we kind of threw it together because we were all in the middle of school and really stressful parts of our lives, but that's kind of the thing that
Charm.
makes it cool.
Yeah.
If looking back,
Yeah.
the fact that we're all just like these kids, just kind of like
Yeah.
scrambling to make some silly video.
Well, in 2008, it was like you didn't need to make a franchise of yourself in a way that I feel like you do now.
Yeah,
So it was just
and none of us would be qualified to be.
it's like making
Yeah.
it's like making plans with friends, but on the internet. It's like
Yeah.
you don't have to make the solid plans. You don't know when exactly where you're going, but you're just showing up and figuring it out.
Sure. I would have changed up my short haircut that I had briefly.
Same.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, same. I had the same one with
Not
the
good.
perm.
Yeah.
I thought you guys both looked great.
I don't know, like I think about changing and I don't know that like
If you
It's
change
worth
anything, everything
answering
about
that.
it, I'm the same.
yeah,
Butterfly
because
effect.
because like I'd have to go back and just be a different person, which is not realistic. But what I learned, I guess, is that I am not as funny as I think I am. I'm still learning that. I have a huge tendency to put my foot in my mouth. It happened in videos. It happens still in life frequently. So something I'm working on. But I look back on my videos and actually I never watch them ever. But I think about them in retrospect, and I always end up thinking to myself, like, I'm kind of glad I let myself be whatever that version of me was very publicly, because whatever I am now is an improvement, and like, let's well go up, right? Rather than down.
Part of me, like, because so many of us dedicate so much of our like time and social platforms to like social issues and things we care about now, I look back and cringe a little bit that so much of that is absent from Five Awesome Girls, but I don't think that I would change it, because I think Five Awesome Girls has a big part of what led us there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think
it
it's
inspired us to want to learn more and be better.
Yeah.
I feel like.
We were also like, we were young and less knowledgeable, and it's okay. I think there's a lot of pressure on young people now to know everything and be super active, and obviously that's awesome and I encourage it, but at the same time, it's okay to admit to yourself that you don't know everything.
Didn't we do a week where the theme was an LGBT movement? Was it Gets Better?
That was the Trevor Project.
Yeah. So we did a little bit of that, but yeah, it would have.
Yeah.
I think it would have been good. I always think about, and it's the same thing with, would I be the same person? Would I have learned the things I learned if I hadn't done this? But I wish I had decided sooner where the line of what I would share with the internet was, and mostly not so much because I felt like I didn't want people to know about my life, because I feel like I made so many friends, and I could really keep in touch with you guys in an honest way because I wasn't hiding anything. But anytime somebody left a really mean comment about something that was too close to home, it really hurt me. The week that my grandfather died, and I made a video that like the day I found out, and I was just miserable, and it was a silly week. Somebody thought it was a joke because the theme was like pretending it was your first video that you'd ever made, and somebody posted like this, like, oh, haha, that's pretty hilarious. So this funny joke that your grandpa died or something weird, and it was like really made me angry. Like I was crying in the video, and somebody thought it was fake, and yeah, it just like hit me where it hurts. And if I had decided to, put on a smiling face and just make a silly video like everybody else had, would I have gotten hurt in that way? And I don't know, but I feel like now I've found a balance, and it took me years and years to get there. So
there's a fine line of vulnerability where you're being honest and open, and also giving something for other people to relate to and feel comfortable with in their vulnerabilities as well. But then also you leave yourself like an open wound.
yeah,
So yeah, there's a fine line there.
there's something valuable to the idea of not letting people get close enough to hurt you.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that the channel was so raw and so vulnerable at times is why it really like sat with people.
I read a book recently called A List of Cages by Robin Rowe that you should all read. It's really, really great. But there's this line in it that's hate ripples, but kindness does too. And I think about that. I've thought about that every day since I read that book. And I think it's beautiful, and it's so true. I think that's something that we really, obviously not having read that book, it just got published, but I think that's something we really worked upon. It's, if you create a community of kindness and openness, everyone else will feel that way, and even if the haters, even if the more negativity gets in, everything else is there to kind of swallow it up, and that's something I think we really focused on.
Yeah, I think there'll always be jokes on the internet.
Yeah.
But I think there's also some other line about how when you hear something mean, it affects you much more than when you hear something nice. So
You get defensive.
yeah, the goal is to just, we should all be nice enough to each other that when somebody says something mean, it's not going to hurt us as much as it will us.
My grandfather always used to tell me, like, it's really hard for people to be mean to you if you're just like smiling back at them. It's something I did a lot at Disney, where it's like people are yelling at you, but if you're just being kind and just trying to do your best, there's only so long they can be horrible to your face before they're like, wait, I need to think about my life and my
they're
choices.
just trying to get a rise out of you.
Yeah, I mean, they have every right to feel what they're feeling, but they have to also know that you'll fight back.
Yep.
So So the last question that we'll do from Twitter is, if the Five Awesome Girls could all be dinosaurs, what dinosaurs would they be?
Drastic tone shift.
I thought you were going to say Jurassic Park. I finished it.
I would be one of those dinosaurs that we found out had feathers and is just like a giant creepy bird.
I would be the one that everyone mistakenly calls the pterodactyl, but is actually a pteranodon.
Misunderstood.
That's a video I made.
Pterodactyl?
Yes.
I would be a stegosaurus, I think. Mostly because they keep to themselves until they're attacked, and then they have that awesome spiky tail that whips you in the face. Metaphor for my personality.
I don't know any dinosaurs.
You'd be like a stegosaurus or a T-Rex. How long are your arms? Yeah.
Barney.
I immediately thought of abducted
I don't
from
hate
Land
it.
Before Time.
Yeah. What was she?
I don't know what the official
Cute
name
is
is.
what she was.
That's a little duck.
Yeah. I don't remember, but she was great.
Charmander. I always chose Charmander.
I was a Squirtle.
Okay, so if you have any questions, there's a handy dandy microphone here, and if you want to walk up to it, we will answer them. Do it. Take one. Yeah.
Hello,
Hi, Sam.
I'm Sam. So I think Lauren alluded to this a little bit at the beginning, but I was hoping you could talk a little bit about how your relationships with each other, as well as your relationships with other people online, have affected the way that you interact with people IRL.
I'm way more confident when talking to people now. I don't know if that just comes from like feeling better about myself in general than I did for a while, but I don't know. I feel like I have value now as a person that you could talk to, and I felt like before I was bothering people when I tried to talk to them, and I know now that that's not the case, and yeah, that helps.
I'm actually totally the opposite. I have learned to dial it back. I think for a long time, especially when I was younger, I wanted attention really bad. And YouTube is a great place to look for attention, but I guess I found it there, and then eventually I just kind of figured out that like I don't really have anything to prove, and I chilled out a little bit.
Yeah, you want to think more about listening.
Yeah.
Because you spent so much time being the voice, you want to start listening. But I also feel like because I started so young, I've never had a problem like public speaking. I've never had a problem interacting with other people. I filled out my resume at a weirdly young age with things that were weirdly inspiring and interesting, and that's really helped me a lot in like career-wise, I think.
Yeah, I think that I got better at collaborating with other people.
Yeah, working on projects with other people. I think like running a channel together for as long as we did was so hard that other things in contrast seemed easy that people might not have done before. So yeah.
Thank
Cool, thanks.
You're amazing here.
Thanks. It's not combed at all.
It looks
Great.
It's
Don't
also
change a
like
thing.
half the bottom, half of it is gone. It's all
Yes.
short.
I love
My name is Vivian, and I have a weird question. Do any of you wear the shoe size 7.5? And if so, would you like a pair of shoes? I drew on them.
What? Those are amazing.
And they
She's
don't
a 7,
fit
I'm
me
an 8. We
anymore.
can split them.
So I need someone to have them
I
who will
think
love
one of
them.
us would take them,
Do-
probably. Well, we could try them on. Sisterhood of the Traveling Shoes. We could send them to each other and like share them.
So thank you so
Those
much.
are amazing. I just want to look at them.
Oh my gosh, they have the traveling pants on them. Oh my gosh, and Hank's guitar. This is amazing.
This is okay.
I love it.
They're so cute. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
Hello. Oh, I don't really want to follow the shoe thing. You could give us your shoes.
Everyone must offer up a shoe set. Yeah, we started so young that I feel like it weirdly became normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, that's totally not weird at all. The thing that's weird is when people, this is gonna sound so awful, but like I have had situations where people were like weirdly starstruck by me, or like they were afraid to talk to me, and that felt weird. But this is supposed to be a community. I became a part of this to to make friends. So if people of mutual interest, they want to be my friend, they want to come talk to me, that's awesome, like, please do that. But I can't imagine why, especially in a space like this, that would be weird. We're all nerdfighters, right?
Yeah, I have kind of two answers. So one, sometimes, like, this doesn't really happen that much anymore because I don't, like, make as many videos just about, like, random stuff going on in my life. But I've had people come up to me and be like, did you ever eat that Skittle you found in the bottom of your purse? And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So, like, that can be a little weird when people remember more about my life than I do. But I've never met someone who watched Five Awesome Girls or just my videos who I didn't end up, like, having some sort of connection with. And when I make videos, I'm making them to a room of people like you guys, you know, like awesome, kind, fun, nerdy people. And so whenever people come up and they'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm such a stalker, I watch you on the internet. And it's like, we chose to put our videos out there. We gave them to you.
Outside my home.
Yeah. So like I've never met someone who I didn't think like I could probably be friends with this person. And I just kind of consider people that I haven't met people that I'm just not friends with yet.
Yeah. For me, it was the only time it ever gets weird is if somebody crosses a line, and so sometimes people will just assume that they know me, and then they'll treat me like a friend, or they'll try to touch my baby, or things like that, where that makes me uncomfortable. Is something that you would do, like I wouldn't even do to somebody I know really well without asking. And some of that's just social anxiety. I know that a lot of people in this community have a hard time relating to people, and that, like, I can forgive that for sure. But the truth is, you do know us. You do know a lot about our lives. You grew up right alongside us, even if we don't recognize you. And one example of this that's really heartbreaking is Esther Earle loved our channel. And I was really lucky to get to know her a little bit before she passed away, but we were having a conversation about her, and you had never had the chance to really get to know her. And we were all talking about this, how a lot of us didn't know her and knew how much our channel had touched her lives, but really, she does know us, and we know her just by extension, because she, you know, when she was sick and she couldn't leave the house and she couldn't go to school, she watched our videos, and we made her feel a little less lonely. And I know she had an amazing community of people who are great that she could talk to online, which is really awesome. I have that too. I'm really lucky. But really, like, thinking about that, you do know us. We are friends. We grew up all together, and I hope to get to know all of you. And thank you.
Hi. So
I love your dress, can I just say? I love it.
So my question is specifically for Lauren, but I guess any of you could answer it because you are all online creators who put a lot of thought and consideration into your work. So I have an Etsy store, and I always have trouble with accepting like criticism for my work, especially when I put so much like heart and soul into what I do. So how do you guys deal with like criticism for your project that you put out on the internet for everyone to see?
Sometimes the criticism is helpful, and other times it just reinforces that doubt that you had in your head, and it makes you not want to make any more.
Yeah.
I experience both of them pretty regularly. It's obviously, if everybody always said, you're doing so great, hooray, I wouldn't learn. But also, I don't really learn that much from the criticism. It just makes me not want to keep trying, and keeping trying is what helps you learn. So I don't know. I kind of, at least with my Etsy shop, got to a point where I was really happy with what I was doing, and so nothing that anybody said really affected me that much, and I'd consider it. And okay, well, you're not my customer. That's what I would recommend to you with the Etsy thing, is that they're not your ideal customer if they don't love your work. You want to find people who do love your work. But yeah, in general, it's very hard to deal with that sort of thing. I have trouble with it.
Part of being a creator and kind of growing as a creator also is that you're always going to get a lot of feedback, and it's just opinions, you know, it's just people's ideas, and it's kind of learning which of those are actually going to help you grow and which is just someone's opinion that might not be right. And so I think it's really helpful to get a lot of feedback, especially on things like writing. I get a lot of people like reading the stuff that I'm working on, and I might get completely opposite feedback from people. And so it's kind of learning like which of these things do I actually want to incorporate in my work and which can I just let go.
So I don't think I've ever been public about this at all, but there were videos that I made on our channel that I was straight up bullied about. There was a video that I made where I kind of I sort of came out about my vanity, and I got a lot of negative attention for that because people compared it to Lauren's The Real Me video, which is one of my favorite videos that's ever been on our channel. And at the time, I was very hurt by the fact that people seemed to think that there was something wrong with caring about being feminine in my way. And I didn't deal with it well at the time, but after I thought about it for a long time and did a lot of reading, and time passes and you start to get a new perspective, eventually I sort of realized that there is no wrong way to be yourself. There's no wrong way to make something new and to be creative. And if people don't get it, that's okay. Not everyone has to love you. Not everyone has to love what you put out. But if you love what you do and you love what you make, then you've won.
Thank you.
Hi. I wonder for.
Bubble socks and bow ties.
I first want to thank you guys and apologize for being so annoying on Twitter in the last 24 hours.
Oh
My
my
Twitter handle is
God.
don't get to run.
What is it?
You don't get to run. Yeah. But my question is, there's pieces of media like Harry Potter, but specifically Lauren's "It's Real for Us" video, the music video that like completely changed my life and shaped who I am. I have "It's Real for Us" tattooed on my arm. And I was wondering if there's pieces of media like that besides like the Harry Potter franchise, which I know you love, but like that have influenced you in that.
Yeah, I know. In which, I mean, I feel like I'm reading, watching things all the time that have reshaped what I thought was real, to use that word. Like, I was talking about that book I read recently, Alyssa Cage's, that opened my eyes a lot. I read The Mothers by Britt Bennett recently, which was such an interesting look at a community that I've never been a part of, and things like that. I feel like, especially in today's age where I feel like we're also interested and we really want to learn about different diverse people, different experiences that we obviously could never have ourselves. I feel like I'm learning all of the time, and I'm always looking for things that will teach me new things. So, those are a couple, but I don't know about anything specifically that really shook me.
His Dark Materials is a really big influence on my sort of perspective on faith and theology, and that's been a big one. But we are all consumers of media. We are all shaped by the things that we read, that we listen to, that we watch. You all know I love music. Music is huge for me. My favorite artist, Prince, died last year, so in a weird way, I sort of, that moment really made me think about how I don't want to ever regret not going to the concert I want to go to, not meeting the person I want to meet, not having the conversation I want to have. And then I would say I've gotten really into podcasts recently. I'm kind of late to that game. And I've sort of found in my old age that I really enjoy science in a way I never really enjoyed as a young person because I was not good at math and I struggled to understand the stuff that I was being taught in school. But now, the big concepts that are front and center today are so interesting to me, and I'm kind of allowing myself to open up to topics that I might have been intimidated by in the past. So podcasts have been a really great way to sort of open the door and try to learn about topics that I was kind of afraid to get interested in. So I love podcasts. If you guys have cool educational recommendations, please give them to me.
Start one, all of you.
I thought about starting a bachelor podcast, but
Thank you. I love your shirt.
Hello. My name is Becca. I first off wanted to thank you all for something you actually mentioned earlier of the being okay with being friends with women. And I was so that person when I was younger of no, all girls fight and they're terrible and I don't want to have friends that are girls. And then seeing how all of you are so different and yet you have such overlapping commonalities, like made me pursue linking like in more deep relationships with other women.
I love it. So great.
Thank you for that. And then my question, I guess, goes back to when you were talking about kind of like vulnerability and stuff. And I think all of you, without fail, went through a lot of tough stuff over the years that you were active in Five Awesome Girls and then outside of it too. And I guess I wanted to ask, because you didn't really have the choice then of like who was gonna put input on the tough things you were going through, is like a lot of people have that ability to be like who I am or I'm not gonna tell. But do you think it did you more service or disservice by having kind of like unsolicited advice on hardships?
I would say that my initial reaction to having an audience during hardship was that I hated it. And I didn't want people I didn't know in my business, and I was very upset. And then very soon afterwards, I was so grateful that the loudest voice is always people like you who are good people and who care about me and I care about you. So yeah, there are times when it feels like, why did I put myself in this position where all these strangers can have input on my life? And then other times when it feels like you just have so many friends around the world who have your back.
In retrospect, I actually wish I had been more honest and more forthcoming about my challenges. I think I wasn't at all in many ways, and I really wish I had been. But I sort of had the same reaction where people would say nice things to me on YouTube, and I would hate it because I would feel undeserving of praise.
Yeah.
And now, of course, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, that's so nice, that's so nice. But at the time, it made me kind of feel bad, which is a weird reaction.
I feel like also a lot of what happened a few years back was when we were going through it, we'd gone through it, and then it all was open, and we weren't necessarily open with the individual instances and everything, but it was stuff that we'd already been thinking on and sitting on for so long. And then what I found is that I had so many people coming out and telling me, like being kind to me in a way that I hadn't been kind to myself for so long. And it's like no one was telling me something I didn't already know, but what they were saying was still helpful and hopeful.
Yeah, and I think, like, for me personally, having the audience was, like, I got myself in a situation where I was being forced not to tell my audience what I was going through, and having an audience made it hard because I felt like I had to pretend I was happy and that everything was fine.
You also want to protect your audience.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And so when a few years later it all kind of came out in the open, it felt like such a relief to like kind of tell all of these people the truth about what I'd been going through. And I still, sorry, this is Michelle. I still get messages from people thinking us, thinking me.
I get messages almost every day on Tumblr, which is like a weird place for that, but all the time people thanking me for saying anything at all.
I wish I had
If we can
said
help at all, I
So
mean,
yeah, in retrospect,
it's
it's so nice.
horrible. It's horrible that we had to go through that to get to this point, but also it's so helpful to know that what happened to us is helping other people, making you think more about it.
I just want to thank you guys personally because I went through a really controlling, shitty situation a while back, and I had already seen a lot of your guys' videos at that point, and I think it helped me move forward faster and be more productive faster than I may have otherwise been. So, thank you all.
Hi guys, my name's Maggie. Hi. So I started watching Five Awesome Girls when I was like 16, and it happened to be the same year I started journaling, and I'm still like, I try to journal like every night, just like a page or two, and I kind of forget that this is from Five Awesome Girls, but I start off every time, even if I don't know what else to say, by saying like, today is awesome because whatever, and I legitimately forget it's from.
We want to make one today's awesome journals.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I was just wondering, like, do you guys like have that in your brains as like you're going through days still? Do you like have like an awful day? Do you like try and think about that, or like I don't know? Is that like something that like lingers with you? And then also, if you want to say why today is awesome, that'd be great. And we all
I was
know
waiting.
today.
We got that 100 times on Twitter, and I was like, I'm just gonna let someone encourage me.
I mean, and we all know today is awesome because we're Nerdcon.
I bought one of those one-line-a-day journals, the like 5-year one-line-a-day journals, because I used to literally keep a Why Today is Awesome journal, and I would just sort of write, but I ended up just like doing too much journaling. So I bought one of those to just write one sentence, and I try to use that every day to like think of like the most positive thing that happened to me, or something that I was excited about, or even just like got some cool socks today, they're great. You know? Yeah, so that's been a really cool way. I've kept it in my life actually since Five Awesome Girls through either a regular journal or through that one line a day journal.
Oh, and today's awesome because
We're all here.
Actually, today's awesome because I got to dance with Rory. That's gonna keep you up here, yeah. Thank you. We only have a couple minutes left. So, yeah. So we can probably do the last two. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Kayley.
Yeah,
I just want to stay here all day. I love
know.
this panel.
I was just gonna say, like, thank you all. As I was saying, those few years, I mean, they were wonderful years in growing and learning for all of us. But they were also really hard years for the five of us. We went through a lot of shit. And and it was really hard, but knowing that we had one another and also all of you who are also thoughtful and you encourage us to be better people all the time, and you still do to this day, and we just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts to the fact that we can get together all these years later and just be surrounded by you guys is such a gift. And so thank you very much. We also, Lauren designed some incredible pins, and we don't make anything off of it. This isn't for us. It was 2 days after the election. I was in London feeling helpless. And I was like, can we please put something together to sell, to give the money to something? I need to do something. And so we got together and made pins, and they're really cool. They're a little expensive, but all the money does go to Planned Parenthood to help other awesome women. So if you have some money, check that out. There's also a ton of other stuff and the money's being donated, so check that out. Thank you all so much for coming.
And
if you
the
guys
DFTBA booth.
Yeah, sorry.
If you keep loving Five Awesome Girls, hopefully they'll keep inviting us to have reunions.
Right.